Yes, you're watching the ARPS live stream here from across the world. My name is Ronald Senghore. I'll be your host for this evening. I'm currently in the Gambia, and today and tonight we have a panel of amazing panelists that will be discussing news matters as they present themselves in our beloved country, the Gambia. Once again, from the Gambia, a warm good evening to all of you across the world, and thank you for joining us as we discuss these matters. Today, we'll be having four panelists. Currently, we have two of them. We have Bishop Danny Manga, and we have Mr. Makang Touray. Without going further, I would love to have the Most Reverend Bani Manga kindly introduce himself and just give us a brief biography about himself in a minute or two, to tell the people who you are, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show from Gambia. I am Most Reverend Bani Manga, presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church and Chair of the Gambia Christian Council. But in here, I represent Bani Manga, and I also lecture at the University of the Gambia. It was a good time, and I hope that we'll have a good time together.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure having you on this session of the ARPS News recap and discussing matters that affect us as a country. And next, we have Mr. Makang Touray. Mr. Makang, joining us all the way from India. Welcome to the ARPS, and kindly tell us a bit about yourself as well.
Thank you very much. Well, about myself, I am from Oponyomi, Kir Alpha. I just attended most of my schooling at the provinces from 9 to 12, then to the Gambia College, and to India as where I am now, teaching as qualified. That is ranging from primary school to senior school as experienced teacher in all of that area. And of course, in the policing for almost 14 to 15 years now. That is something about me. Thank you, Mr. Sangwa, for giving the call.
Thank you very much, and we're glad that you're joining us from across the world. And it will
Thank
be
you.
very important sharing your perspectives and your views on
Thank you.
issues as they affect us as a country. As well, we have another dynamic panelist in the name of Sira Secka. Looks like she's struggling with internet connection, but as soon as she comes back on, we'll certainly speak with her and have her tell us a bit about herself. Now, with that said, we have a lot of interesting topics to talk about today, and these are things that affect us as a country, which is very important that we look at where we are, what we can fix, and what the actual problem is. Um, we can only do this together if we all put our minds together. The government alone, or the public sector, or the private sector alone cannot do this. So, with that said, I will begin with you, Reverend Bani, Bishop Manga. We've seen there's been a press statement by UNICEF and the Ministry of Education. But before I jump into that, I believe we have Sira Secka back. Sira, thank you for joining us. Can you kindly tell the viewers a brief biography about you so that they know who you are?
Hi, good afternoon from the Gambia. I apologize, my internet is a little wacky today. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. I've been on for 30 minutes, but it's like on and off. So, my name is Sira Secka, and I'm a teacher. I am the founder and CEO of NN4 Excellence, an NGO that is registered both in the Gambia and in the state of Washington, USA. And we center our work on education, really giving a lot of focus on inclusive education and special education for that matter. And I taught here in Gambia in various schools after my graduation at the Gambia College with the highest teachers program. I still worked as an assistant lecturer at the Gambia College. Started university study early childhood education, special education in the USA. So I graduated with a second degree in teaching, and then right now doing an MA in leadership and communication. So basically, I said I'm also the training director for Mindset Mentors, and Mindset Mentors was created or founded by our CEO, Joseph Jase, who is also in the state of Washington since 2012. And also in my side, we are yet to register in the Gambia, but we have a center in the Gambia, the state of Washington, and we offer various classes in terms
Okay.
of a lot of technology and then general support with all the
All right.
subjects. And in Gambia, we also have a center where we teach students computer and courses for free. It's located in Birkama. I can leave my contact for those who might be interested to
Yes,
explore that.
we'll come back to that. But
Yeah.
thank you. That's very, very impressive, Sira, and we're glad that you're here joining us. And the fact that you're an educationist as well and you've been through the system would kindly support what you're doing, and especially in the topics we'll be talking about today. So, like I said, Bishop Manga, we've seen a press statement by UNICEF and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, where 46 children in the Gambia are basically out of school. Now, this is an alarming number if you look at our population, which is 2.5 million people, and 60% of that is young people. Having 46,000 kids out of school rings a very, very loud bell. This comes from the back of where we've seen reports of very poor grades from the students moving to grade 10 with a lot of failures, especially in math and English. And it has been very alarming. Looking at this current situation, what do you feel, especially coming from a background where you've known the Methodist mission for all of that? How does this affect children, and what do you feel is the barriers of entry for them entering schools?
Thank you very much. We need to look at this in three perspectives. One, on the part of the parents, two, on the part of society, and three, on the part of government. And part of government, I think our education system has and is continuing to lose its credence. Why is that so? Because our entry requirements are just as low as they should be. If you're going to have people go to Gambia College and they need 2 credits or where to be in the ECD. Now, if you take grade 12 exam, which is the national exam, and you have 2 credits, you're a failure. And if those who are a failure, as it were, are the ones who are going to teach our students at the ECD level, then we have a problem. Now, for those who are going to be in the primary school, as I know it, it's 3 credits or so that you need to be at the PTC level, which they now call the diploma level. If you're going to be a teacher in there and you already have 3 credits and you are not upgrading yourself and you're accepted to be in the Gambia College and to participate in that, there's going to be a disaster. Then you go down to the HPC, which is now called advanced level. You only need 4 credits for you to be there. That's also another recipe for disaster. Let's just face it. Most of the people who are coming to Gambia College to be our teachers are not as good as they should be. And the ministry knows that. That's why recently, even though you would finish from the Gambia
Great.
College, they ask you to take another exam before you're posted in there. That is literally just acknowledging that Gambia College is not doing what it should be doing. That is one phase of it. The second phase of it is, let's look at our society. The truth of the matter is our society is not celebrating education. It's not celebrating educated people. Most of the people who are celebrated in our society, with all due respect to ourselves as Gambians, are not people who are into academia and all of that. So the truth of the matter is, why should I push myself to get to a higher level and all of that? So what sort of society have we developed for ourselves? Then on the family level as well, I mean, Gambia now, everybody wants to make things quickly and fast. And education is, to a large extent, not going to do it quickly for you. Most people don't even encourage our people to be involved in that. So I think we need to look at it in those three perspectives. Point number one. Point number two, quickly, it is well. I know the report is written by is it UNICEF and the
This is
Ministry of. We don't have to wait for international organizations to tell us our problem. We know our problem. It is about time we decide if we want to do it, then let's do it. If we don't want to do it, then we will be getting these people writing and telling us what is our problem, and then they will also be funding it, and consequently, they will be determining what the standard should be. If we want to own our standard, we determine it, and we make sure we lead the campaign. If not, it's just going to be a circle, and we're just going to be crying and crying, and we'll be going backward every day.
Well, it's quite interesting seeing coming from this perspective, you as an educationist as well, and the standards are low, as you've said, and I believe we can work on this. However, I want to throw this question to Mr. Touray, who has also told us that he is from the rural area of the country. Looking at the distribution of schools and lecturers and teachers, we would see that the bulk of the teachers are centered around the urban areas, whilst in the rural areas, the schools are there, but the teachers that you find here, you will not find them there. You know, and do you feel that this is the one of the reasons affecting the high rate of children not entering schools, or does it really affect the level of education? Looking at the urban area and the rural area.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Senghore, once again. That is a good question, and I appreciate it. So, looking at that perspective, it will look into different corners. And we have to look at the cultural aspect, the impact we have from the culture. And we look at the impact we have from the religious view. And we look at the economical point of impact as well in the provincial area. As a typical villager who is brought up and educated from the village, we have a lot of impacts that a lot of things that are impacting our education system. One is culturally, we believe education is like it's a part of life that is not even, let's say it's just like 25% of education life. It is important to be educated, but also it could be also important another way around to have money. Where many people focus as the key education as the key of having money, not knowledge as well as we think so. In that regard, you will see many people going to school just as a shortcut how best to make their life, forgetting that the base of education is about knowledge and then how to focus future development. And looking at that aspect as well, many people are not inspired by looking at the stages of maybe those who are employed to pick children or parents to pick from those people to inspire and educate their kid. That is definitely limited.
But do you think that because of our cultural beliefs, especially our parents, most of them are not really educated. They didn't go through a formal school system. It's more of sending the younger ones to madrasas or having to work, get skilled labor, doing the farms, the animals, and stuff like that. Do you think that plays a role in this children not being enrolled in school?
Yeah, of course. If you look at that aspect, Mr. Senghor, it's like still now our curriculum is not been developed. It's not been developed to match our cultural stage. We are of more of Western, which they have some philosophy that being a Westerner or with Western concept are people who are definitely threat to the culture. But our curriculum of schooling system or syllabus are not being built to cope with our cultural standards. And therefore, most of our elders see it as a threat to the religious and to the culture. And we then believe that if you are educated and you have been acculturated, then there's the saying that Atinyatalo or treat the village. So these are all aspects of one aspect when people are not taking education seriously. That is the cultural aspect of it.
Well, we hope that these are norms that we can change. Reverend, do you accept or do you agree with that, that our cultures really impact how students are enrolled in school?
Never lived in the village, so I'm going to learn from Mr. Touray. But
Yeah.
I would suggest that if education is about giving information that will form people and lead to a transformation or a transformation of society, then it is very clear from what Mr. Touray has said that our education system has failed. Because if after 59 years of independence, we are still having an educational system that is not synonymous or resonating with our cultural reality, then our educational system has failed. And so it is about time those who are into education, who know, who develop the curriculums, develop curriculums that will safeguard the interest of our cultural norms and values and heritage so that our people will grow in it. I acknowledge that, yes, growing up, I remember once I traveled somewhere and I was in class, and they asked me, how do you say this and that in your local language? And I looked at my fellow Gambians who were there. I said, so, and I just told them something, right? And
Yeah.
they all were like, how do you write it? I said, well, try and write it anyhow you know. But the truth of the matter is, what I was saying, I don't even know. So, how is it that our education system is helping us appreciate our cultural norms? Now, like Mr. Touray said, most people see those of us who are educated as being westernized or non-African. Now let's look at ourselves. There are other countries who you can go up to the PhD level and do it in your local language. I know it is done in Ghana. I know it is done in Nigeria. So why can't it be done here? They started the discussion in Parliament, and after one sitting or two, that was the end of it. So if we say we want education to be what it should be, and what it should be is to give information that will lead to the formation and transformation of people, then we should be very particular and determined. With our curricula, we should also be very particular and determined that we don't only stay in the past tense, but we are also working in the new present tense so that our lives will be better. If not, we're always going to be backward and it's not going to help us.
Thank you very much, there, Sunny
Thank you.
Manga, joining us. You're watching the ARPS show right here online with the amazing Mr. Makang Touray. We have Sira, who's struggling with internet issues, and hopefully we'll get her back. From there, we'll move into. We've seen the government has inaugurated a tax tribunal, which has been led by a Ghanaian judge, Justice George Apa Kwabeng, to address tax evasion in the Gambia. We all know that there's a lot of tax leakages, and a lot of people avoid tax, and these are monies that goes towards the development of our country. These are the monies that will fix the roads. These are the monies that will make sure there are basic utilities for homes to be and people to survive. But once there's a tax evasion, it really affects our livelihood and the development of our country. I'll begin with you this time around, Mr. Ture. What do you feel? What challenges do you feel that the tax collection, let's say GRA, face, and how can they address those issues?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Senghore, once again for the question. Mr. Senghore, having been experienced both living in provinces and in the urban area, and I've interacted with certain issues of such. See, governments are seriously not being encouraged to pay tax. In reality, is we've been born and found our parents paying tax, but the way and the mode it has been invested is definitely a question in our mind. Compared to other countries, you pay tax, you see the outcome. But frankly speaking, in the Gambia, you pay tax, and you will even have doubt whether the tax will go to the right channel. As the result of which, many people are not encouraged, not with the hope to courage to pay tax and develop the country. In which, in the real sense, a country like Gambia, without tax, it will be difficult. If it will be difficult for us to develop. We have a lot of definitely good citizens and international who are staying in the Gambia, who could be a very good taxpayers. But of course, if you look at the reality, are they paying exactly? They are not. One aspect is, as I said, people are not with confidence that paying your tax it means develop your country because we are seeing a lot of leakages, as you said earlier. Another part also is that the tax collectors are also one of the elements who are definitely hampering the, the volume of our tax collection. Like if somebody who is collecting your money, if you are able to convince that guy to pay beyond the amount you should pay, and the rest will go to his pocket, what will you think of if where the remaining money is going to? These are all issues that should be clear, and then we should see our tax have been invested and put into a proper projects that will develop us.
Thank you very much, there, Mr. Makang Ture. Right now that we have Sira, I'm sure you're struggling with your connectivity, but the little we can get from you would be very important. We're talking about the setting up of a tribunal for tax mobilization, and we know that there's been a lot of tax leakages in the Gambia. Now it's been headed by a judge, a Ghanaian judge, Justice George Apa, that will be heading this tribunal. Do you think that even though we've set up this tribunal and we have a justice or judge all the way from Ghana, is going to have any impact? Sira?
Yes, thank you for your question. And again, sorry for the back and forward. Definitely would like to talk on education a lot, inclusive special education, so we can get extra time into that issue. As far as the tax, the previous speaker, Mr. Touray, just mentioned, taxes are huge in any national development. You see all the advanced countries highly depend on tax. Even anything you buy from the store, you pay tax, like 5%, 10%. I think it's important that we have a system implemented for that. It is more important and helpful, though, that it is structured properly, that the money that is being collected goes to the right place, used for the right purpose. Oftentimes, when people pay tax, like in the USA, it's for citizens' benefit. And so you go to the store, they tax you 10%, okay, like you're paying maybe $100 on top of your $1,000 purchase. But you know that you are, as a citizen, you are entitled to benefits, which includes maybe free health insurance, right? Which includes your kids being able to go to school without paying tuition for public education, which includes support for difficult times, like let's say maybe those who are unable to afford food, for example. You have a card that you can just use and go to the store and buy food. I think it's important that we take it serious. Obviously, everything we set up for national development needs to be serious. And there needs to be a follow through and there needs to be accountability so that get to the real work. I think right now it is very scary around the world. There are crises from all aspects. So whatever we do needs to be serious. Adults that are handling issues for this country to take it forward needs to take it seriously.
Thank you very much, there, Sarah, for your contribution. I move to Reverend Benny Manga as well. Bishop, we're used to calling you Reverend now. We'll have to get used to calling you Bishop as well. Well, we still on the same topic of the tax mobilization. And I would still ask the same question that I asked Sarah to you. However, I would want you to as well dial in on, is the GRA as a tax collection authority doing enough work in educating people on the importance of paying taxes? And do people really know that this is important or what the use of taxes? Do you think the GRA is doing the work now?
I wish that we would look at it on two perspectives. First, the news article is saying there is a tribunal
Yes.
for people who feel they are not taxed properly
Yeah.
to come asking for redress. That's an interesting thing. That is not for GRA, that is for us who are paying tax. And
Yeah.
as I heard my two panelists saying, we are acknowledging that people are not paying the tax.
Yeah.
So if people are not paying the tax, then you are creating a tribunal to come and query what you are not even paying. Then I wonder, how serious are we? That's the first thing. The second thing is, let us face it. We know what is going on here in this nation vis-a-vis people paying tax. The tax that people should pay, they are not paying it. You go to the port, when you have things to clear, if you know people, you will have your things cleared and you are not paying what you should pay. And nobody is talking about it because somebody upstairs, you go there, when you see some of the, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound nationalistic, but some of the non-Gambians who are here, who are doing and running all the businesses, will just take their phone and call upstairs. And you will have a call downstairs and they know what they're doing is not right. That is what I think should be investigated. And I think the tribunal should be looking at people like that.
Not to cut you off, not to cut you off, but you feel that the tribunal is set for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. Because, I mean, are you suggesting to people that they are overtaxed? By what I read, I mean, the first impression I had was that, okay, are people overtaxed? Or is it that people are undertaxed? And I hear my two that people are not paying what they should be paid. And consequently, how do you expect the nation to be developed? Number two, when people pay, let's face it, most of the money, the tax money should go into the national government. When you look at the national budget and all the figures that are there, right? This year's budget, we are going 98% for overhead
Mhm.
spending. So
Spending,
only
yeah.
2% is for development. So it means only 2% of our taxes is going towards national development. Are we serious in any form? Number three, let's face it, most of the people in GRA are paid good salaries as compared to other institutions so that they will not be corrupt. But in actual fact, what is happening? Most of the GRA tax collectors will go back to the shops and be collecting things in the evening. And the GRA should know if some of us who are not GRA staff are knowing it, then if they want to find out how to correct, are we serious about it? If we are not serious, then we will find all this drama and just be rhetorical. But if we are serious about developing the nation, Gambia has a lot of places it can learn from. Just our neighbor Senegal. Look at all the West African countries that are around us. How do they deal with their tax? Look at, I mean, Sira was quoting in America and in Europe and all of that. There are tax systems that are there. Why can't we have that? A small country like the Gambia, we are not even computerizing our tax system. People will tell us, how many times do you pay check to people? And they will tell you, no, don't pay it in the name of the company. Pay it in my name so that their statement will not fail. And they will go and cash it and put what they want to put in their account and all of that. That is all to avoid tax. So let's put in the system.
We're going to have an endless sessions of court cases and people chasing after their tax returns. Um, I just hope it's not going to open a can of worms or a loophole where a lot of things will start coming out. But however, it's very important that we pay taxes and the revenue authority actually pushes this for it to happen. Um, why I'm saying this is that people don't really understand the differences between that. I will ask you last, Bishop Manga, before I come to Mr. Ture again. Looking at the reason why I'm talking about education of people understanding why they, or they should pay tax or the importance of tax. We recently saw that there's been a mass clearance on the roads, okay? And most of the time you would hear people saying that they paid money to the municipality, whether it's KMC or whether it's Brikama Area Council. Now, it really shows that there's a big misunderstanding between what the council taxes or the council payment or business registration is and what is the tax that you're supposed to pay for your business or the goods that you're selling. So how can we as a people educate and have the government as well support this? Because at the end of the day, the taxes are paid to government and government uses its monies. And if they are not educating the people well on tax payments and filing their taxes and all of that, how are we going to progress as a nation, Bishop?
Every institution should have a communication unit to communicate what you do. If not, we're not going to succeed. I sit here with all the accolades behind my name in terms of degree. And honestly, I don't even know what we pay all these taxes to local government and whatever are being used. So I am a religious leader, yes. I am an academician in another level, yes. I am involved in all of that, and I don't even know what BCC or KMC and the various local government institutions are using their tax for. Then I am pretty sure there are many like me who do not know. So they should have a communication unit and inform people. Now, when we watch the local government commission that is going on and all the revelations that are coming up from there, would I or any other person be encouraged to pay tax? No, because it's like we only hope and pray that after the local government commission has gone on and they have made resolution or suggestions and white paper comes out and all the things that happen, someone will not just for political reason forgive all of them. That's happened in other commissions. Then how would anybody take us serious? You only pay tax or you only do all those things if you do not have connection. And this is Gambia. It should be for everybody. It should not be for those who have connection and those who do not have connection. So as far as I'm concerned, every local government and every government institution, and not only that, even parastatals, should have a communication unit so that we know what you do. If not, we will all be presuming, and most times we presume wrongly. And those wrong presumptions will not take us forward.
Thank you very much, Bishop Manga. From there, that will take us to the illegal rosewood trafficking that is happening. And it's very important that we have a police officer who's present. The illegal rosewood trafficking is basically, we all know, is mostly from the southern part of the country. And it's been ongoing. This has been fueled as well by the instability in the Casamas region. Currently, we've seen that since the impasse, we've had the Senegalese economic soldiers stationed along the southern part of the country. In most cases, they are the ones monitoring whether it is loudly said or not, monitoring the movement of timber and rosewood and any other form of wood along the southern part of the country. We've as well seen them confiscate logs. We've seen them have issues with truck drivers. We've seen on the news reports where a driver has complained of his tires being slashed by these people, and as well, all this situation has occurred. Now, as a law enforcement officer, who do you think should really enforce this law? Should we have, in order for this trafficking to stop, should it be the Gambian authorities within the Gambian soil that should try to regulate the illegal felling of rosewood and trafficking, or should it be another force present in the country? Mr. Touray.
Okay, thank you once again, Mr. Senghore. Thank you for the question. Well, I would say, first of all, this was a failed system, which I categorically put the blame on the government. That is the government of the day, both from the government before, both from German's government and the current government, who inherited the system. Frank enough, this legal timber smuggling, I call it, which was definitely legal, to our level and to the level of Senegalese. Because if you look at the route, I'm very sure, allow me to go deep somehow. Gambians were buying timber from a wrong hand, that is the rebels. In a sense, like we base our income to enrich the illegal troop in Senegalese forest, who are rebels, by virtue of financing their operations through buying timber from them, and then bring it in the Gambia, which is never documented. And in seriously speaking, any government should not allow such illegal commodity or illegal product from another country to a country without interlink of two states doing a business earning money, which have some security alarm in future if you forecast. Enriching a rebel troop or a government allowing to enrich a government troop, a government allowing to enrich a rebel troop in the forest could be in danger to our own security. And then we did not care that. What Gambia care was like the income or the source of earning we are having, our source of employment, we are benefiting from it, which was going on. And of course, I believe ECOWAS has taken all of this, which brings, after the fall of Jammeh's government, they have to quickly reinforce economic and then give powers to Senegalese in our own country. This is because we fail to stop such illegal smuggling or illegal acts, which is very, very serious.
So,
And then it's definitely,
in your own words, who should be policing the borders to ensure that this doesn't happen?
we have our own police, we have our own army, that is the defense, the territory, and not to allow anything illegal to enter in our country, and to stop anything that could be a threat to our security in future. If you focus on such act, leaving rebels at your side, let's take reference from that of Cameroon and Nigeria when the Boko Haram's imams. Cameroons, they fold their hands thinking that this was not their soul. It is Nigerian problem. But the more they expand, what happened? They also have some negative impact. We suddenly see a takeover of Gambian part of land that was done by the rebels. They see some part of our land. Up to some extent, after they was negotiation, they have to pull back to their own land. If you focus, it is not a good sign. Therefore, I will seriously ask the government to be committed, not to have interest in international conflict, but our own security is very, very important. We can't stop it, but we can prevent our engagement with them. Therefore,
All right.
illegal smuggling, buying timber from wrong hands is definitely illegal, and it's a threat to our security by enriching an enemy in the forest.
Thank you very much, there, Mr. Touray. We'll come back to you on that. But we have Sira. Sira, the Chinese businessmen have been implicated in this rosewood trafficking. It's very known that it's a very expensive wood, it's rare, and it's basically used to make some amazing furniture. And for these reasons, the Chinese are very invested in getting it. How do you feel that we should, as a country, prevent or stop this illegal trafficking, especially by foreign nationals on our soil?
Thank you for that question. Can you guys hear me, right?
Yes, we're hearing you. You're breaking up, but then you're there. But go ahead.
So timber trafficking. I always say that Gambia, we missed out on a big, on something that the citizens, the country was supposed to use for sustainable. Now, we had the road. I don't know whether we have more. And what I would recommend is for, again, like all the other speakers, for serious laws to be set and to be followed through. I always say that I don't know what happened, but I will say if we continue to do the business like any serious country, people should have restrictions onto what they are cutting and where. There should be the limitation. And if we allocate this site for that business canal, you put in one tree, you have to plant another one. So there should be continuity of that forest. And eventually, what other places or they can do to sustain this is if a place is being used for a while, I would think that there should be a limitation on when that should stop, and then you can regrow those trees again, even if it is 25, 30 to 50 years, then you can go back to that market. But then you have different sections in different times to explore. So basically, the network is very jumbly.
Can't
So I
really hear you. You're breaking up a lot, so we can't
that,
really hear you. I said we can't really hear you. You're breaking up a lot. Maybe you might want to change your position. You can go off air,
yes,
change your position,
yeah,
and reconnect again, and we might get you. Thank you very
okay.
much, Sira. Reverend, articles clearly states that there's still illegal trafficking. Okay, and it is quite clear, like I said initially, that we have people policing that. Are we sure, as a country, that the people that are really actually policing the timber trafficking are not as well involved in them? Like I said, in most cases, it's not nationals of our country. Maybe when it comes to the end part of shipping out of the port here, then you can say maybe the Gambian authorities are involved. But if you look at the southern part, I'm pretty sure you go around that end if you're going to for the youth camp in Campant and Kamfenda area, you will notice that there's a very heavy presence of foreign forces that are basically there. If you before you enter Buyam, you would realize that you would see a lot of confiscated timber along the road. At some point, you don't find them again. So, do you think there there's the police that are policing the timber trade are not part of it as well?
Oh, let's face it. The article says there is a ban.
Yes, there is.
Timber business going on despite a ban.
Yeah,
If you
there is.
give up, then you want the ban to be implemented
Of course,
and
sure.
enforced. Now, you don't ask poor people to go and enforce a rich business. Mr. Touray, forgive me, but Gambia Police Force is not paid well. And you expect them to go and police people who can give them $10,000 at a go because they know they're getting $1 million from there? Are we serious? Even the policeman will say, money, you want me to police drug dealers? Pay me well so that they will not bribe me. Then I would say to myself, you know what? Because I'm getting this every pay, I will not sacrifice it for anything. When you're giving me peanuts and then you expect that I will, when they give me some bribe, I will not take it. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves. That is point number one. Two, the news article is telling us that Al Jazeera knows that there is a ban, and yet the investigative journalist to come here. And the investigative journalist is doing his work, which the police should be able to do, and he's even able to tell us that there is someone by the name of Lamy. Now, the Gambia port, it is going to be shipped from the Gambia port. And then we are saying we want to do something. So it means as if you don't have contacts, you will be caught. If you don't know anybody in high office, you will be caught. If the investigative journalist can go to a port and find the wood, as he said, right, and he can write about it and publish it, and most likely he will do a video, then what are we saying? We should be able to do that. So, as I mean, Malang has also said something. Last government was supporting it. This government knows about it because the people, the president is the president who said the people who are in the police force, the ranks and all of that, we were there before. And so the details are all there in their files if they want to deal with it. If they don't know it as per their files, they can investigate. Why do we have a criminal investigation unit? Why do we have serious crime unit and all of that? What are they doing in their office? So if we mean to uphold it, then let's uphold it. Now, with regard to what Sira was suggesting, even though the network went off, when a country decides to ban something, as we see in the article, it is suggesting that it is almost at the verge of extinction or there is a problem. So it is not about let's allow people to cut it. There is a problem that needs to be solved. So once the ban is on, the government can say, let us plant these trees for the next 20 years or for the next 10 years so that at least in the next 10 years we have enough trees to sell again. But because we are in a hurry to get money, we are banning things on paper and in reality we are encouraging it. Who are you fooling? We are fooling ourselves. And that's exactly what is happening.
That's exactly what is happening. Thank you very much, there, Bishop. We know we have the Environment Agency that and the forestry that's responsible for making sure that deforestation doesn't occur, that we adhere to climate policies, and we know that we don't emit a lot of emissions as a country. But however, we know that our rainfall has been inconsistent, and cutting down or felling of these trees would greatly affect climate and the direction in which we are heading would not be very pretty. So, with that said, I believe that it's very important that these are stopped. I know Mr. Touray, I don't know whether you have any response to Bishop Manga based on the work of the police and knowing fully well where this comes from, how it comes from, and enters the country and eventually gets shipped out of the ports. The police themselves are as well present in the ports and they sign up to anything that actually comes in as cleared vehicles or items at the ports, and you actually have to pay a police fee to get for a stamp to check the items. So I'm pretty sure whatever comes in as well, the same procedure occurs. So as a police department or police unit, how can they put a stop to this?
Thank you, Mr. Senghore, once again. And thank you, Bishop, for that wonderful comment. You see, Mr. Senghore, we need to know there's what you call autonomy. It's very important in any job you are doing. When you are being employed and post or give a responsibility, you should be given the full autonomy without not being dictated for any personal interest. All what you're supposed to do is do it for the interest of the nation, for the country, whose money you have been paid from. In actual sense, whatever Mr. Bishop said, I totally concord with it. It's as a fact. The police could have make stop to it. But then, if you apprehend them, if you just have to stop them, cut them, which court will you take them? Which court? We haven't seen where a lot of truck were caught and they were parked in Farato. I don't know what they did, confiscate and resell to the dealers themselves again. And finally, it got shipped back out of Gambia. So this is the fact. Technically, it's like you've been waived the tax to bring the word illegal. You just add I to make it forbidden. But the real fact is, who is benefiting? The system was operating as it is. It's like you just change the word, but operation was never been discouraged. They flew the same routes, day in, day out, to the ports, and then they were shipped. Something that you have been forbidden. How can that guy has a clearance to ship it out if we are calling ourselves a serious nation? I always say this, Mr. Senghore. Sorry, it's out of your topic. We should not work for ourselves, or we have to work for our upcoming generation. We should work and leave a legacy that will give a better name and a better country, not a better compound, a better house, or a better belt. It's supposed to be our goal. In this timber of thing, frankly speaking, it's like we just paint green to white, but the structure remains the same. The police may not have the autonomy to stop. And even whereas you have the autonomy to stop, the real fact is if an illegal dealer can pay the police officer a night more than his annual salary or monthly salary, what do you think can do? we prevent it at the first place. You see, if you want to secure it, you must have to build a valuable material to secure yourself. If internal is valued than the external, what will happen? Intruder will intrude. If you build a house, you just have to buy a local of, you build a house of 1 million, you buy a local of $100. Are you securing your house? In real sense, this is what is happening. You employ the security, the value of Gambia is 1 million, the security are just like $5. The work will never go as we expect it. It is not a secret, as I'm saying. It is clearly that we knew things are operating and it's going. But then what we do? Autonomy is not there. And economical also, you have to think about something which is very, very legal. I'm very sorry to say that. We
Thank you
have
very
to call
much,
ourselves a nation.
Mr. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You can
Thank
go
you
ahead.
very much, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's absolutely very clear, and like all the panelists have said, it's in our best interest as a nation to take this very seriously. It's not just laws of the Gambia; we as well breaking international law. These trees are very important and should not be illegally shipped and sell in any country. And these are things that the authorities should pay attention to and ensure that we jealously guard uh, these important climate sensitive trees and keep them within the shores of our country and find any means of stopping the illegal trafficking of these trees across the Mediterranean to the Asians. Well, from there we'll move to, we've all seen and heard and seen the impact of the Aki case, where over 70 babies that we know of lost their lives because of a cough syrup that was shipped into the Gambia that was given to these young babies, and sadly, over 70 of them that were recorded passed away. We cannot for certain say the actual number because I'm pretty sure as it stands, the number is higher than what has been reported because these are the cases that were actually um, documented by the ministry. However, we've seen the news item where India is pledging to look into this matter because and to take appropriate action due to the fact that this syrup came from a pharmaceutical company in India. However, there's been a dispute back and forth based on the who's going to be charged and whether there were actual samples were swabbed or there was bribery involved. These are all things that we're seeing. However, Sira, we all know that if you look at the countries that actually are big in pharmaceutical shipping and have big companies, if you take the US out, next you'll be calling a country like India. You know, I'll come to Mr. Makang. I'll start with you, Sira. The Indian authorities are hell bent on what really happened. My thought is they will not agree based on the fact that they are a very big country when it comes to pharmaceuticals. So whatever will tarnish the image of India when it comes to medicine and medicine control, they will not accept. So going through this article, what are your reactions based on what has been stated? Are you muted?
Yes.
Okay, welcome back.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Senghore, for that question. And yes, I totally align myself with you when it comes to India with uh, their country reputation, their population, to like to the willingness of accepting that this was on their side. I mean, I don't see happening. We will see, right? We will see what the future holds. I mean, going back to incident, I've asked people and myself several questions. And actually, I met with some Indian, not to the same topic, but this was about food. Um, how how do India and Gambia do business? Like the things that are coming in the country, how serious? I am for sure know that the drugs that India is shipping to America, to Europe, to the Middle East will nowhere be close to the same standard with the drugs that India is shipping to the Gambia. So for that fact, I mean, looking deeper into into the issue now with the dealers, I don't know what standards they use. What do they look into? What are the testing and certification process to have these items qualified to enter the country? Now I went in India in Dubai last year, and so I met with these biscuits and candies and that are already doing business in Gambia. They're already doing business in Senegal, and yeah, they have this fancy packaging, sweet, creamy biscuits, and talk about bringing it in the country. And so I asked them because I'm like, okay, so do you have the market? Like, do you have the European market? And they're like, no. I was like, okay, so it's something that you want to look into, because I was dragging them to a point. And I mean, if you look at the facial expression, you will know that they're saying that it's impossible. And I was like, okay, amazing. I said, so where do you do your testing and certification for the biscuits that you export to Gambia and Senegal? And they were dumbfounded. It's either zero testing or low standard testing is done to put things on paper to say this is qualified. And so when those drugs were being in and out of the Gambia, whatever procedure, that is the section of the health ministry, standards are set. Was it passed or was it made by the Indian government? These are the standards that we set this. Now, what is the Gambian government accepting? What testing and recommendations they are doing? Are these from accredited facilities? So there are like millions of questions. And if India, I mean, say no to any allegations. Okay, yeah, we gave you the right drugs. They were this thing. They were this. I mean, I don't see where that argument is going. Again, it's just going back to what Mr. Touray said from his last speech. As adults in this country with different responsibilities, different positions, different background, wherever you are, I think if you see the way the world is moving and or what our citizens are doing, it's alarming to know that we need to start taking things serious. When we do things, not even with the drugs, being it anything, being it cutting the trees, being it the lack of standardized systems in our education system, wherever it is, help. Um, we should please think about our children and our grandchildren with these decisions. Now, this one's children are dying. Some of these decisions we're making as cutting trees and doing other things are affecting children 50, 30 years to come when they should be stabilized and have a business to run. They're starting with where our grandparents started to struggle for life. And I don't know where the struggle ends. And
Well,
so it is enforced country. I
yeah.
think it's what we should lean towards.
Thank you very much, there, Sierra. Very important that we should preserve these things for the future generation and the generations to come, that they have the proper platforms and the proper routes to take, and they can only be determined by us here. Reverend Bishop Manga, it is quite baffling that the Indian authorities are saying that the syrups were not toxic. They were saying, ruling out that, or there was being a possibility of a bribery where the samples were swapped. Even with that said, there was nowhere in the article that I've seen that Gambian, let's say, microbiologists or test if anyone from the MCA was present when these drugs were being tested, and under what was they tested, and how did the authorities find out that the syrup was not toxic? It is not only in the Gambia that babies passed away. In other countries too, at two or three countries, they were saying similar issues, same from the same company. And looking at that and our current situation currently, where do we stand as a country, especially knowing fully well that we do not have a testing facility in the country? We rely wholly and solely on foreign pharmaceutical companies to get our medicines. How can we avoid this in the future, knowing fully well that we do not have the financial power, especially the pharmacies in Gambia, to ensure that these medicines that come into the country are tested?
Ronald is not ready yet. Sorry. If after 59 years, we don't even have labs to test these things. We're relying on others to do it for us and tell us if it is right or wrong. We're not serious. We're doing it. It's the same thing that happened. I mean, we're talking about the same Indian that the Medicines Control Agency is talking about. We've seen on social media today that there is this war that is going on between the MCA and Innova against
Right.
drugs that are not that are illegal or have not gone through what and all of that. And it's a joke. We are making it a discussion topic. This is about our health. This is about our life. This is about our children. And a whole Gambia, we don't have lab, and then we say we are serious, then we should not buy any vehicle for the next 5 years. Let our vehicles park on the road and let us use the money we are using to buy vehicles every year and get some of these basic things. But we are buying new cars every time. Look at all the enterprises that are going on, and we have money for that, but we don't have money for a basic lab. Not even any of our
But,
educational systems
but wait,
have a
wait, wait.
standard.
I cut you off there. You know, but we are talking about the money of buying the cars now. These are people representing the people. These are people that people voted for to sit in the
No, no, I'm
parliament.
not even. I'm not even talking about the parliament one. That is a different. I'm talking
Okay.
government, right? Where is that money coming from? We all have our cars. You cannot buy a new car today, and in less than 5 years, the car is kaput, and you are buying new one every time. We are not serious. We should have a standard. If we buy a new car for you, it should serve you for the next 5 years. It was bought brand new, so it should be able to serve that period. I mean, for all intents and purposes, where are we going with the car? Here to Basse or here to Senegal and come back? Why should our car spoil after 5 years? And we have qualified mechanics that should be taking care of our cars, and we know that those cars, they will tell you it is spoiled, they sell it to themselves, and the same car, they will just change the number plate and it will be running on. We are not serious. This is something about our health. You go to our hospital, you do some basic tests. You cannot even do it in our hospital. And you say we are serious after 59 years? Come on, I don't pray ever in my age that even in 40, I am having to be dependent on other people. What more 59? We are still depending on other people for basic things like testing. If we go to the hospital, we don't even have proper dialysis machine and all of that. You cannot even do proper tests to know something. Some of the tests that you have to do, we have to send to Senegal. When I was growing up in the 80s, Senegal come to us. But now we go to Senegal. What has changed? Is Senegal more focused than us? So let's ask ourselves, what is going on? People just open hospitals and clinics and pharmacies. We've seen what's been going on. People are using other people's license to operate a pharmacy, and nothing is coming out of it. Come on, come on, come on. I mean, this is wickedness. I mean, and it's not about saying to the government, it's about all of us. Until we start demanding for standards for ourselves, our government or those who are in authority will never take it serious, because for all intents and purposes, if they get sick, the institutions that they're serving have the capacity to send them outside. But what about the other 2 million people who are in this nation who cannot even go to a basic health center? You go to a health center, you don't even have a lab to test simple blood. Then you are expecting for there to be testing for syrups from India. Indians would defend it to the last because they know we do not have any capacity to counter them. We're only relying on what they produce. That's point number one. And that's not only in the medicine. I remember some time ago when we had these minerals that were going on, we had to rely on the being presented by the mineral companies in their website. When we wanted to sue them, they put the thing down and we didn't have any evidence. That was the end of the show. And that's the same thing that we're repeating here. So, my friend, if every Gambian demands that in our independence this month, on the 18th, we demand that I need basic things in this nation. If not, nothing should go on. People we go to high school, you say you're a student. Until you finish, you have never held a test tube and all of that.
Well, it's very sad, and we hope that these are things that we can overcome as a country. Right now, we have Mr. Touray, who's currently in India, and it's from these countries that we have a lot of. If you check on the shelves of most pharmacies in the Gambia, you have drugs from there. Now, how credible are these pharmaceutical companies in India? We didn't really see how the made in the pharmaceutical company looks like. Just
Hold on. You want him to talk about how credible Indian
no,
companies are? He's in
from his
India,
from his
and he's
perspective.
in India.
No, of course, you're right to some certain extent. Yeah, but just be up fast for your own observation.
No, it's okay.
Yes, because what we saw the gate of the picture from the gate of the mating company that was making the pharmaceutical that had unfortunately killed over 70 babies. In India, you see how products are made or how things move about. We hear news that there are different grades of these medicines, and it's based on what your pocket can afford. But just a general overview of the situation, especially as per this article. Can you please enlighten us?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Senghore, my co-panelists, Sira, Secka, and Bishop. Thank you for your wonderful comment. Of course, to be faithful with you, this matter make me to make a lot of investigation about India and their pharmaceutical companies. If you look at the Indian system, Mr. Senghor, India, they have a very standard, I would say standard, they have a very structure in place that protect importing any product from India, not even only drug, in which they can base on, and then it will be definitely difficult to hold them responsible for such an action that has cost a lot of life in Gambia. Going back to your question, frankly speaking, in India, you can't have here a pharmaceutical company which is not standard. It's very, very impossible. It's very impossible. One thing I believe, this company has been dealing with Gambian drug dealers, not even the government. And they knew the weakness of the Gambia, and they are smart enough to overtake the system and pollute our drug system. This is what they have did. But to say the Indian drug system is standard as a citizen whose offsprings have died through these drugs. I will once again that Indian standard is definitely okay. But they have capitalized on our weakness. Just to quote from what Secka and Bishop were saying, our system is very weak. And they knew they can dribble it. And this is what they have did. Because to produce a standard drug is expensive. If you are dealing with a very weak country like Gambia, you can easily bring small quantity and then produce a lot of it that you can make money out of it. Indians are very good at making business, and they don't fear anything illegal, and they don't fear anything just to have their profit. Use your life. I will tell you something. If you are to deal with Indians, seriously be careful. These are the people who don't care. They just care their own development. One thing is that they don't steal directly, but then they can cheat. They can just dribble all systems. So this is why I still feel very sorry for Gambia if we don't have those kind of machine in place to make sure that Indian drugs are tested. They can do anything. They are very smart, and they can photocopy. They can copy paste. We should be very careful. If the government should not ban, if the government cannot ban it, let us have a system in place and test their drug up to standard. Because in India here, a drug cannot leave India without making certain criteria. That is fixed. This is why the government is imposing that the drugs are valid and they are good. They have that act. No thing, you cannot ship anything out of India which is not been tested, because they have to test it so that the Indians' image will be maintained good in all international markets. So the campus you have said, we see people there, our students went there. They are actually, we don't have doubt in their know-how, but I knew there was a foul play, and then as a result of this foul play was made as a result of the weakness of the Gambia. They study our country, and then they knew that they can dribble it. Just a point, I want to clear something. This problem should be investigated. It does not directly connect the company who is producing drugs, but it has to deal with the drug dealers who are buying or who are exporting the drug from India. I knew the idea must come from them, and they must have aided it. I am very sure of that. In India here, things have been categorized. If you have one, if you have two, we have three. It depends on you what you can afford. If people can just come from Gambia and come and buy those low-class drugs, they knew it's not good. It's not the standard. India, they don't even hide it. They'll tell you categorically. It's for 5, this is for 6, this is for 7. But they are priced according to their quality. So I'm very sure, I think, finally, we should stop window dressing development. That is development of infrastructure, forgetting about the welfare. You can't just develop big roads, big buildings alike, and forget about the welfare of your people. Welfare should match with the infrastructure. And in Gambia, we have that imbalance. Structures are in politically campaigning, but the welfare of the people have been forgotten. This is where we are suffering, and we continue to suffer if we don't change the system. Thank you, Mr. Senghore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Touray. Yes, we have to change the system. It's all about system change and change our mindsets and be good, productive citizens of our country. You've been using one word over and over and over again, which is dribbling. And now let's come to something that actually involves dribbling, and it's football. We've all seen that the national coach of the Scorpions, Mr. Tom Santi, resigned after the final game of the Gambia at the African Cup of Nations, where we were beaten by Cameroon. Gambia actually lost all three games of the group stage and were eliminated and found themselves back home. Due to that reason, the coach resigned, and Mr. Tom thanked the Gambia and he praised the players, praised the management, praised the FF. However, there are skeptics on the side here and there talking about why the coach actually left the job. Some are saying that he is planning on landing another job. Others are saying that he has another job. And this was after the Gambia had already given him a contract of 5 years, which I believe should elapse in 2026. Bishop Manga, you follow football, you like football, and Gambia going for the first time to the African Cup of Nations up to the quarterfinal stage, and the second time in a row being kicked out at the group stages. What are your reactions?
I was sad, but let's face it, that's the reality. That needed to happen. Even if they had gone back, they're just going to come home. To qualify for such major tournament. And there was no form of preparation, apart from just taking them for a few days to Saudi, and you see have done. They must be. Look at all the other football teams. They were literally having friendlies and preparing themselves and gathering themselves and whatever. We didn't have anything like that. And then we expected something to happen. Point number two, our coach does not. I mean, everything now is you reacting to social media. Our coach is a coach qualified as he should go by what he believes is the best thing for the team. But from his second interview, you could see that the man was reacting to social media. And he's saying we are now giving them what they want. That's an insult. You are a qualified coach, and you were even telling the journalists you are like football, you don't know, and then you were telling us at the end, I'm giving you what you want. That was not a serious a statement from the coach. The third thing is, if you listen to him when he was telling us that he's resigned, he mentioned to us that he told the president of GFF on Sunday.
Yeah,
So it means he had prepared
he, yeah,
for
he had
it.
this
So
idea.
he only waiting to finish the outspot and then he goes away. Now, football is business like any other thing. He is offered something better somewhere and better facilities and better money. Let's face it, he will go. And the best he will do is give a press statement and talk about how good Gambia is, how lovely, until he packs all his things. Right? If we go to any of the countries that are hoping to get him, if we go to play with him, he uses our weaknesses that he knows about us. So let's employ people, get them to be professional, and work with them on a professional level. Because the truth of the matter is, all of us that are here, and maybe only for me, but all of us that are here, if I see a better opportunity to get more money and to get better facilities, I will start deciding that God is calling me there because my own is God, right? Siri will start saying something else because, come on, better facilities are there. Malang, you are coming back to Gambia Police Force with all those facilities that are there. If you see better facilities, you will not resign from the post for very obvious reasons. Yeah? We knew, we saw this coming. And from his interview, you could tell he told his daughter before the football match, right? And he told his coach before, so he had already prepared himself. And yes, it's sad that we have lost him, but the truth of the matter is we also did not, we cannot give someone a job and not give them the environment to be able to do what they should do. So he has to go somewhere where he can get better facilities.
Well, what was the main reason behind him resigning? Was it the pressure from social media? Was it the fans, the journalists? We can't tell right now. At the end of the day, these are things that will stay in the heart of Tom Sanford until he decides to critically and bring it out to the general public. But as of now, it's all based on assumptions that he resigned from the job because of the AFCON, and that's how it looks. Sira, I don't know whether you follow football. Do you watch football?
It depends sometimes.
Sometimes. Did you watch the African Cup of Nations?
Well, yes, I followed a little bit. I was supporting the youth fans club actually to go there and cheer up
Ah,
the champions, and they did a really great job.
that's
So
it.
I'm proud of them.
That's wonderful, and thank you so much for the support that you've given
No,
them. We saw how stressful it was getting to Ivory Coast, that they had to
it,
spend a couple of days on the road, had issues with
yeah,
authorities in Mali, and were you in communication with them when that happened?
I was in communication with Mami Sira. She's amazing. I love the spirit, and I wish I can just give them anything they need to get where they want to be. That's my heart.
That's great. Thank you very much. Mr. Touray, our coach has left now. It's about who will be the next Gambian coach. Is it going to be a Gambian or is it going to be a foreign coach? Where does your mind lie?
Thank you once again, Mr. I'm a citizen who is concerned for that matter. I've been following up both the interview from Kaba and the other team since the incident happened. And then from the shot from Kaba himself, that we don't have Gambians with Lansing who can coach the national team from now. So then that means the option has to be have to go outside. Because if you want somebody to coach you internationally, the person has to get the qualification and hire, or to bring somebody employed to coach us. And then just to say what my co-panelists were saying, we need to give people the atmosphere, the environment, at least to show off what they can do. But of course, Gambia is a country. If we have to bring another coach, bring a coach who have very good resistance to criticism. This is a small country, but then people are very good at looking and criticizing. So naturally, we are blessed with that.
Well, I don't want to cut you off. Speaking about the Gambian coach, I've heard reports. I cannot really confirm this. But we have at least two coaches that have a UEFA license to coach. One is the technical director of Sangdong, who is the current TD of the national team, and there is T-Boy, the former Gambian defender, who just acquired his license. He's the current, if I'm not mistaken, under 23 coach, and he has a. So we can say technically that we have two Gambians that um, can that have the requirements to coach a team. But then looking at this as well, do we have the financial pull to get a foreign coach to coach our country?
Yeah, Mr. Senghore, that is the issue now. Frankly speaking, as we speak now, this is not a country that we can hire high quality coach to come and coach for us. Even when we have it, we prefer to spend it in other aspects rather than sport. I may not say we don't have it because I'm not in the finance department. But looking at the attitude of the government or the people of the Gambia, how they spend, we don't want to spend much in sport and football. Just to just get a reference how we were prepared for the football and how our opponents were also prepared. And we spend a lot. We spend little compared to other teams, and we still want to compete with them. If you look at the Gambian game, just that's not part of the question, sir. Looking at our match with Senegal, that shows that the boys, if we are given a lot of test game, we could have rectified a lot of mistake before we reach the the tournament. So I think we have to rectify our mistakes, try to spend and then do something. We must have to get the what called output and input and output. Then you have to get input and output. So we have to ask to have victory. If we want to spend this kind of little expenditure, it will be hard for us. Though, as you said, we should have the self-confidence and then bring our own people to coach us who knew our culture and they know how to develop the football of the Gambia. Bringing people from Belgium, from UK, we have different culture, we have different dynamism. So we have to bring our own people to develop our own. They know us, we know each other, they know what is our problem. So this is what is very key. Let's forget about this international coach or foreign coaches. Bring our own people and then see how best to manage. Currently, if you look at the tournament, we have a lot of local coaches who are doing wonders. Let's just take a reference from Ivory Coast. What happened? You have seen what they are. I think we can also do it. We should try to learn from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, there, Mr. Toure. Whatever happens, the future will tell. Wherever direction the Football Federation takes, the future will tell. Do we need to invest in our local coaches, spend money on them, and ensure that they have the licenses that they require? Well, that is up to the FF, that is up to the government, and that is up to the Ministry of Sports. We have to remember, too, football is not the only sport in the Gambia. We have other sports that are taking shape. We have our local wrestling, we have basketball, we have volleyball, we have handball. Currently, we have athletes that are suffering because there's nowhere to train. there's no track for them to run and improve their skill. So these are all things that we should look into as well as a country. We can invest everything on football, even though it's the most loved sport in the Gambia. But as well, we have to encourage the young ones in the Gambia to take up other sports, and the ministry should invest in those sports. Before I take a leave of you, we'll have to run over this quickly. Sira, you had issues with your internet connection, but the first topic we had, it would have been great to hear you speak on it, where we have 46,000 children are not in school. And this was a statement by the UNICEF and MOPSI, and which is very alarming. And as educationist yourself, looking at the statement and coming from back having students not really passing their exams and having these kids not in school, what is your reaction of this?
That is the most important question for me, I guess, now and forever. And I take education serious. It's in the bottom of my heart, and I take this country serious. And I hope that we are listening, and then we will do something better with this. Now, the article said 46,000. It's more than that. It is more than 46,000. The data that was presented by the planning department from MOPSI a few months ago, and that was a workshop from UNESCO inviting a lot of the sectors, obviously education, MOPSI being in the middle. The workshop was about teacher improvement and teacher standardization in the country, and it's about millions of dollars funded for that improvement, including Gambia, Asian countries, and some other East African countries. And during that time, in 2023, as of the last data they have, 75,000 people, 75,000 students between the age 7 and 12 were out of school. And this is from MOPSI. So I do not look at that reference. When it comes to education, I told one of you, I can talk the whole day without getting tired or without going back to the same topic. I think we have a lot of work to do. And I can give you data from here, as of the latest data in 2023, for every different region, what the numbers are, what the enrollment numbers are, what the dropout rates are. Now, due to time, we can look at the six different regions that we have in Gambia. And looking at West Coast, my foundation focuses heavily in West Coast because that's why we're having our first school built. The preschool, which here is the Northeast School, which is going to be 3 years. It's going to be built in Parato, and then we're starting a primary school all the way to middle high school and college, which is going to be around Busura, Dasilani. And when we say that we are talking about inclusive education, we are not leaving anyone behind. No matter who you are, what kind of disability you have, need to be considered. And this is what lawmakers in those offices signing papers need to put in place. That education should be mandatory for children, age 4 to 18, mandatory. And workers need to find means and ways of making sure at least you get a degree, the minimum. If you cannot graduate high school, have special programs that you can earn a degree. And so right now you're looking at Region 2 as of 2023, 14.2% of children within the age of 7 to 12 are out of school. That is like half of the national figure, which is 8.5%. Obviously, you look at Region 1, which is the smallest population, you have about 4.9%, with an enrollment of 60,000 people. You're looking at Region 3, it's about 4.5%. Region 5 is about 36.6%, which is still high because Region 5 is also not that big. And then Region 6, you're looking at 20.7%. And then with all this enrollment and national figures, so we can definitely deep down into deeper. I still have a really hard time not having special education as inclusive data on special education, which is the work that we're going to continue to do. And I think I cannot be touched and more emotional enough, and I cannot stop working. If you look at our stand for education, for this foundation, it's a sustainable, inclusive, planet-friendly education as a whole of approach. No one is doing that to their hand. I mentioned Mindside Mentors, which I also serve as a training director. We did a lot of work in Washington, now being back here. We have a center in Birkama. Again, we offer IT classes. Please share my contact information for if students are interested in free classes. Please, you are welcome. And then we are standing with providing tools for every child to thrive in life, and we cannot let education behind.
Yeah.
So when what I will recommend, and for the lawmakers, for decision makers in this country, ministers, both basic and secondary education, to really like start looking back and looking for ways that we can include the students. Now with NN4, I can only enroll 100 students per grade level maximum. I don't even know if I can because we're still starting. We are still starting. We're still looking for resources to start our program. That's the much we can go. Now, how many thousands and thousands and thousands of children have been left behind? And again, I talk about education being mandatory. This has to be a national policy. Both parents and teachers, educators needs to be responsible for making sure people are educated at least to a basic level. And then you're talking about we're talking about, like, there was a question about GRA. Do people know that this is what is happening? Now, how do we know if people are not educated? And the education is not those old people that are running the business. You start from the grassroots. That's why it is so important to review the policies to make sure we include those topics. We include civic education. Now, I care about culture and I care about history, and students should learn deeply about the history and the culture of this country. That has a limit. What else do we do? What do they learn from the government? What do they know about the government? What do
Well
they know
said.
about? What do they? You can. So this needs to be included in the policies. Civic education in all aspects.
It's unfortunate that I have to cut you. We need to have a special show just for that because I see the passion in what you're doing and how important it is, and I equally share that passion, especially from grassroots education all the way up. But I think to do justice to you, we'll have to schedule another episode, especially for this, and where you would be able to provide all the data. At least would have a graphical view of how it is spread across the country and talk in depth on especially education. It's very fascinating to see that UNICEF and MOPSI are talking 46,000 and they're giving us data of 75,000. So it will be very important to have a comparison of all this data. So with that said, I'm pretty sure the ARP guys will work on an episode where all this data will be put forward and a clear picture of where our education sector is, especially when it comes to grassroots education and infant education stands. But with that said, it's unfortunate that we've run out of time. A long time ago, I asked for an extension just to ensure that we discuss all these topics. And it's getting pretty late where Mr. Touray is. He's in India. We are here under the sun, but he's already dark where he is. So with that said, I want to sincerely thank you, Most Reverend Bishop Bani Manga, for your insights, your knowledge in ensuring that this topic that we had to discuss, that you used your mind to educate and discuss with the people. And those watching, I'm pretty sure, are very enlightened. The same with you, Mr. Makang Touray, sharing your insight as a psychologist, a former police officer, a former teacher, and with your experiences in India as well. It's quite amazing, and we wish you all the best as you pursue your degree in India. We hope that you complete in peace and come back to serve this wonderful country that we have. Sira as well, thank you very much for all you're doing in education. You as well in education with Bishop Bani. He's lecturing at the university as well. We thank you for what you're doing for our kids. I hope that we have a lot like you that focus on grassroots and having the kids build a foundation before they move out of that sector into secondary schools and higher education. So keep on doing what you're doing. We thank you very much and we wish you all the best as well. And hope that you grow bigger and bigger in the country where your organization and the education you're providing goes across the regions from Basse all the way down to the Combos. With that said, we discussed all these issues. It was quite fascinating. It was quite insightful. And thank you very much to all the viewers following ARPS. Thank you very much for staying on for an hour, 30 minutes, hearing us talk about all these issues. We hope that you found ways of enlightening you, of motivating you to do better for our country, to do well for our nation. So, with that said, I wish all of you a beautiful evening wherever you are. My name is Ronald Senghore, and I was your host